Morning, beloveds. Thank you for joining this light circle of truth, the circle of truth, what's always true, unchanging. Only the unchanging can be true, no variations. As we look in the light of divine being, are there any variations? Whenever we're willing to look, is it always there? That so much happiness. And I'm reminded this morning of the movie Arrivals that we were watching last night. And there's this beautiful scene where they're approaching the aliens, quote unquote, and it's darkness and they're walking up to the light. And tentative was the belief in they're going to be vanquished or killed or all those beliefs. And it's interesting that this very lesson 153 came to mind. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. And how I was talking to Jesus and how that desire of being tentative about the approach to spirit and having an experience of approaching ourselves, approaching infinite light and feeling tentative and feeling that we'll be vanquished. And it's very, and lately he's teaching me about, you really want to be surprised by what arises in consciousness, even though you made it. For that desire to have an experience of making something and then forgetting that we did, or I did, whoever's out there forgetting it. Because if you look, there's no one forgetting it. But just seeing the energy of that, wanting that play, the play of knowing, but not pretend, really knowing, but pretending that it's not known already. And it's a spectacular movie about desire, seeing through and accepting the correction. She's just so willing to see things another way. It's a beautiful reflection, and just be so open to communication with Creator. Since we've forgotten what communication with Creator looks like out of our desire to do so. And then we have a desire for an experience of relearning how to communicate with what's most natural to us. That's the whole humor of all of it. Open communication is our natural state. The alien, when the alien is only bringing love, seemingly, that God is an alien to us. It has to land in a spaceship to wake us up. Something dramatic to catch our attention. And see that we believe that love is war. That's the interpretation. This can only mean war. And then looking for proof. That's another great movie for showing how we look for war. When only love is offered. Only the wisdom of all that is offered. And I'm hearing yes to talk about this. So it's for me. So I guess I'll talk about it. So I used to go to a course group in Madison with Sherry Wild. And Sherry, she told a story about this, about being abducted by aliens. This is really good to look at, see if there are any ideas, because aliens seem like some kind of dark forces. And she really was quite, in her experience and the expression, quite terrified by the Greys. She calls them her guys now, but she wasn't calling her guys then. How these appearances, how we can create diversity. That's quite amazing. But when you're in the middle of it, if you read about these alien abductions, because we like to create the haunted house and be scared by it. She finally started to realize she could communicate with them, but beyond words. And that really, what a beautiful metaphor. Their only communication is love. to tell her love, but that seems really terrifying, that she was afraid of them. So I was kind of meditating on the grays, just seeing, okay, where are the, and I suddenly realized that I knew the grays. Like, I can't explain that. You can't explain it. But somehow in consciousness, there had been an interaction, a desired experience to interact. I don't know what that is. I have no memory of it because, again, it's just in consciousness. Yet there was a knowing of this great love somehow inspired by these reflections in consciousness. Like, I just think of mine, feel total love. And I was surprised. Like, I knew them. I knew of this somehow in consciousness, universal consciousness. It doesn't matter. It's still a movement. And when all things are converted to just a movement of the expression of infinite love, regardless of what it looks like an alien. It looks like these septopods. But to see beyond the words, because we're so dependent, again, such a move, that dependency on words for communication. And Jesus is really bringing us in these lessons and the focus on the light to beyond what's words, what words can't convey. Has any word ever conveyed our experience of love? We would try to express it. We know it can't capture the expression of it. Lesson 153, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. To be so undefended against the alien that we've made of God, of ourselves, this tentative approach to light. That's what feels so beautiful about the light circles. The simplicity was seeing it, the light's already here. And it's really indefensible. It can't be defended against. Yet, as Jesus keeps pointing out, the petty walls and fortresses. Jesus, is there any desire below my level of awareness to deny that in my defenselessness, my safety lies? And looking so deeply in any energy, like not wanting my defenselessness to be where my safety lies. To have no other desire than to get this lesson fully, exactly as it's given. Yeah, Renee said beautifully yesterday, there are no desires. In the light of divine truth, we can see there are none. Desires always point back to desirelessness. They're the fastest way to see those desires without dancing with them, admitting them. Jesus, show me where I desire not to experience my defenselessness and my safety, and thus my safety. Defending against myself, my true self, infinite self. You who feel threatened by this changing world, its twists of fortune and its bitter jest, its brief relationships and all the gifts it merely lends to take away again. Attend this lesson well. Jesus, is there a desire to feel by this changing world anywhere within below my level of awareness? He's saying he's willing to show us every condition. And yes, he has, right here in the Course of Miracles, every condition that's brought about fear, threatened by this changing world, the desire for it, the desire for the twists of fortune, to experience twists of fortune. It's bitter relationships, the desire for brief relationships, experience, to deny myself, to hold on to brief relationships. And all the gifts it merely lends to take away again. Attend this lesson well. The world provides no safety. Is there any belief or desire that for an experience where it seems as though the world, safety can be found in the world? The belief that safety could be found by avoiding this light. By somehow obscuring it. Can't resist approaching it, just like they couldn't resist approaching the alien, because it's ourselves. We can't stay away from ourselves. It is, the world is rooted in attack, and all its gifts of seeming safety or illusory deceptions. The desire for self-deception in the safety of the world. It attacks, then attacks again. No peace of mind is possible where danger threatens thus. No peace of mind is possible where danger is desired as an experience. The desire even approach the danger, approaching it as though it could be approached. Yet in the light divine being, is the light really approached? Or is it just here? All a made-up dream. That the light would be something fearful. All to deny that it doesn't know what fear is. The world gives rise but to defensiveness. For threat brings anger. Anger makes attack seem reasonable, honestly provoked, and righteous in the name of self-defense. It feels helpful to look at each of these desires. Or ask Jesus to show us, does the world rise but to defensiveness, the desire for defensiveness? Is the world a desire to defend? Defend against this light that we can see. And is it a desire also to feel the threat and then bring anger and experience anger for the threat, about the threat, to again deny that it's a miscreation? and have anger make attacks seem reasonable. Defensive. To make defenses reasonable is to make defenses seem reasonable. In the light of divine being, is attack natural to us? Is attacking the light attacking ourselves? Yet its defensiveness is a double threat. It attests to weakness, for it sets up a system of defense that cannot work. In the truth of divine being, can defenses work? Do they work? In the honesty of God, do they work? Now are the weak still further undermined, for there is treachery without and still a greater treachery within. The mind is now confused and knows not where to turn to find escapes from its imaginings. Jesus, is there a desire below my level of awareness to know not where to turn, to have an experience of not knowing where to turn to find escape from imagination? It is as if a circle held it fast, wherein another circle bound it, and another one in that, until escape no longer can be hoped for nor obtained. Attack, defense, attack become the circles of the hours and the days that bind the mind in heavy bands of steel, with iron overlaid, returning but to start again. Yet does the infinite light that's here know anything about circles of hours and days that can bind the mind? There seems to be no break nor ending in the ever-tightening grip of the imprisonment upon the mind. Is there a desire for an experience of no break nor ending in the ever-tightening grip? I'm willing to see it. The desire not to know myself. Defenses are the costliest of all the prices which the ego would exact. In them lies madness in a form so grim that hope of sanity seems to be an idle dream, beyond the possible. The sense of threat the world encourages so much deeper and so far beyond the frenzy and the intensity of which you can conceive. That you have no idea of all the devastation it was wrought. Now Jesus is showing us even this is desired experience. The desire for frenzy, desire for intensity, which you can't conceive it. Conception is perception. You are its slave, willingly. Willing to be a slave to the ego. Willing to be bound so tightly because we like it, we want it. You know not what you do in fear of it. You do not understand how much you have made to sacrifice. You have been made to sacrifice, who feel its iron grip upon your heart. You do not realize what you have done to sabotage the holy peace of God by your defensiveness. For you behold the Son of God as but a victim to attack by fantasies, by dreams, and by illusions, yet helpless in their presence, needful only of defense by still more fantasies and dreams by which illusions of his safety comfort him. Jesus, I'm willing to look directly at the miscreated dreams, admit them, miscreating dream for the illusion of safety from the light, from this infinite light. And see that illusions hold no power over the light. Defenselessness is strength. Jesus, is there any desire to experience his defenses as strength? To deny that defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of the Christ in you. Perhaps you will recall the text maintains that choice is always made between Christ's strength and your own weakness, seen apart from him. Defenselessness can never be attacked because it recognizes strength so great attack is folly, or a silly game a tired child might play when he becomes too sleepy to remember what he wants. Defensiveness is weakness. It proclaims you have denied the Christ, the light within, and come to fear his Father's anger. That you have chosen to fear the Father and believe that he would be angry, because this is what you believe about yourself. What can save you now from your delusion of an angry God, whose fearful image you believe you see at work in all the evils of the world? What but illusions could defend you now when it is but illusions that you fight? Can you not see how circular this is? The desire to be lost in defense, cycles of defenses and defensiveness and attacking. We will not play such childish games today, for our true purpose is to save the world. And we would not exchange for foolishness the endless joy our function offers us. Our function does not include saving bodies, which is the way of the world. Our function is to see that salvation lies within ourselves. Being true to the self, to the light, being truth, rather than denying what we are. We would not let our happiness slip by because a fragment of senseless dream happened to cross our minds. And we mistook the figures in it for the Son of God, its tiny instant for eternity. We look past dreams today and recognize that we need no defense because we are created unassailable. Is the light unassailable? Is the light perfect peace? Without all thought or wish or dream in which attack has any meaning. Jesus, is there any desire for thoughts or wishes or dreams in which attack has meaning? Now we cannot fear, for we have left all fearful thoughts behind. And in defenselessness we stand secure, serenely certain of our safety now, sure of salvation. Sure, we will fulfill our chosen purpose as our ministry extends this holy blessing through the world. the ministry of the devotion to ourself, the self, the one. Be still a moment. And in silence, think how holy is your purpose. Ask the light to tell you of your holy purpose. And feel the love as that light just reveals to you the holiness. Whole and complete and holy as God made you. How secure you rest. In the light of divine being are we secure? Can we rest in this infinite light that we come to see, focus on every day? Untouchable, are we untouchable within this light in our direct experience? God ministers have chosen that the truth be with them. Who is holier than they? Who could be sure that his happiness is fully guaranteed? In the light of divine being, does the light guarantee fully our happiness? Does the light ever say, happiness when? Happiness if? Does the light know this? And who could be more mightily protected? What defense could possibly be needed by the ones who are among the chosen ones of God, by his election and their own as well? Are we chosen by God? Have we chosen God? Hear this in the light of truth. It is the function of God's minister to help their brothers choose as they have done. God has elected all, but few have come to realize his will is but their own. And ask me for what that help is that your brothers need, for you cannot know it. Only the light knows what's most helpful. Thus ask me. God has elected all, but few have come to realize his will is but their own. And while you fail to teach what you have learned, salvation waits and darkness holds the world in grim imprisonment. To teach is to be what I show you. To be who you are, that's the teaching. Ask the light, what's the true teaching here? You cannot tell of God's love, you can only be God's love. What does the light know of teaching? Jesus is moving the mind beyond the idea that there's a brother to teach or someone to teach. There's only unlearning what never happened and then being only what is. Nor will you learn that light has come to you and your escape has been accomplished. In the light of divine being has escape already been accomplished. Until you offer it to all your brothers. As they take it from your hands, so you recognize it as your own. As giving and receiving are the same. As you give, extend light through who you are, not through speaking or telling or The speaking becomes the expression of divine nature. It just expresses without an attempt to teach. It's just an invitation. We can only invite to the light. We can only be the light, offer the invitation, just as Jesus does. As the light doesn't know anything about teaching. It does help us unlearn. Salvation can be thought of as a game that happy children play. It was designed by one who loves his children and who would replace their fearful toys with joyous games, which teach them the game of fear is gone. There are no aliens other than the will to have an experience of something alien, the ego. His game instructs in happiness because there is no loser, only a desire to try and experience one. Yet, as we look in the light, can we find a loser in our direct experience? Everyone who plays must win. Isn't this a happy world? It's an invitation to play. Thank you, Jesus.
The win-win from the movie, the technical term, the scientific term for it.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Renee's reminding me the win-win. It's
Yeah.
worth going back. I might watch that movie again. It's so good.
Yes, it is.
The win-win. Is there such a word as well other than this one? That's a good word to know. Everyone wins. In the light of divine being, does everyone win? It's the only way it happens. Yet it doesn't know loss. So it doesn't know winning either, but it's helpful. It's helpful to see we're joined in this winning, this, because there are no words really for all that's given. Everyone who plays must win, and is winning the game to everyone is ensured. The game. The game of fear is gladly laid aside when children come to see the benefits salvation brings. This is really reminding me the humbleness of continually asking Jesus. As a child, learning anew. So he can help us unlearn the divine light within. You who have played that you are lost to hope, abandoned by your father, left alone in terror in a fearful world made mad by sin and guilt. Be happy now. I like the command, be happy now. I remember getting angry over that. What are you talking about, be happy? Who's telling me to be happy? Who's that one? Being mad about being told to be happy. I want to keep this unhappiness no matter what. Don't interrupt me in this unhappiness. Remember those times like someone, you'd be mad and someone trying to, and you get even madder. Do not interrupt my anger. Such a great example of wanting to keep it. You have played that you are lost in hope. Lost to hope. Abandoned by your father, left alone in terror in a fearful world, made mad by sin and guilt. Be happy now. The game is over. Now a quiet time has come in which we put away the toys of guilt and lock our quaint and childish thoughts in sin forever from the pure and holy minds of heaven's children and the Son of God. The tinker toys of guilt and suffering. We pause but for a moment more to play our final happy game upon this earth. And then we go to take our rightful place where truth abides and games are meaningless. So is the story ended. So has the desire for a story ended. Let this day bring the last chapter closer to the world, that everyone may learn the tale he reads of terrifying destiny, defeat all his hopes, his pitiful defense against a vengeance he cannot escape, is but his own deluded fantasy, is but his own desired deluded fantasy, to be deluded about who he is. God's ministers have come to waken him from the dark dreams the story has evoked in his confused, bewildered memory of this distorted tale. God's Son can smile at last, unlearning that it is not true, on ceasing to deny that it is true. Today we practice in a form we will maintain for quite a while. We will begin each day by giving our attention to the daily thought as long as possible. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. Five minutes now becomes the least we give to preparation for a day in which salvation is the only goal we have. 10 would be better, 15 still better. And as distraction ceases to arise to turn us from our purpose, we will find that half an hour is too short a time to spend with God. In the light of divine being, is half an hour too short a time to spend with God? Is a day too short a time to spend with God? Is eternity too short a time to spend with God? This is how time becomes precious, when it's no longer used to deny as a way to defend and extend the denials of divinity. The holy purpose. The holy purpose in which heaven celebrates. Nor will we willingly give less at night in gratitude and joy. Each hour adds to our increasing peace as we remember to be faithful to the will we share with God. At times, or less, will be the most that we can offer as the hour strikes. Sometimes we will forget. At other times, the business of the world will close on us and we'll be unable to withdraw a little while and turn our thoughts to God. Yet now we know this is chosen. The chosen experience that something in this world can hide the light from us. Yet when we can, we will observe our trust as ministers of God, an hourly remembrance of our mission and his love. And we will quietly sit by and wait on him and listen to his voice and learn what he would have us do the hour that is yet to come, while thanking him for all the gifts he gave us in the one gone by. Which each hour passes. We're willing less to accept what wasn't and rejoice in what is. In time, with practice, you will never cease to think of him and hear his loving voice guiding your footsteps into quiet ways where you will walk in true defenselessness. For will you know that heaven goes with you? For you will know this. You do know this, heaven's with you. for you have unlearned the ways of the world. Nor would you keep your mind away from him a moment, even though your time is spent in offering salvation to the world. Think you he will not make this possible for you who choose to carry out his plan for the salvation of the world and yours? Think you he will not make this possible for you who choose to carry out his plan for the salvation of the world and yours? In seeing that salvation lies in defenselessness. Today, our theme is our defenselessness. To see that the light has no defenses. We clothe ourselves in it as we prepare to meet the day. We rise up strong in Christ and let our weakness disappear as we remember that his strength abides in us. Does God's love, his light, abide in us in our experience as divine beings? And the light that's here, does the light abide within us? We will remind ourselves that he remains beside us through the day and never leaves our weakness unsupported by his strength. We call upon his strength each time we feel the threat of our defenses undermine our certainty of purpose. We will pause a moment as he tells us, I am here. Does the light tell us it is here in our direct experience as light beings? Your practicing will now begin to take the earnestness of love to help you keep your mind from wandering from its intent. Be not afraid nor timid. There can be no doubt that you will reach your final goal. The ministers of God can never fail because the love and strength and peace that shine from them to all their brothers come from him. These are his gifts to you. Defenselessness is all you need to give him in return. You lay aside but what was never real to look on Christ, every brother in yourself, to see his sinlessness.